I'm going to explain how to delete portions of a clip and crop clips in this tutorial. If you want to follow along, bring in these two files here. Just double click on the Files panel, open up the Open File dialog box, click on Gettysburg and Gettysburg Unedited, and bring them in by clicking on Open. Well, I've already done that, so I'm going to click Cancel. We're going to start with the Gettysburg Unedited. This is my recitation of the Gettysburg Address. I've got some pauses between phrases, and we're going to want to remove some of those pauses. Before we do that, let's take a look at the statistics down here. It says that the clip is 1 minute 56 and 580 thousandths of a second. And it currently says the view equals that. That's because we see the entire clip here. And then the selection starts and ends at the same place because the selection is just the current time indicator. But we're going to look at this again in a moment to see really how long the selection is. We're going to start by deleting the pause here at the beginning, or to use the brute force method. Just click and drag to make a selection. You'll see the selection is about 2.5 seconds long. So when I delete that, it's going to make the clip 1 minute 54 instead of 1 minute 56 and a half. So to delete something that you selected, it's very simple. Just press the delete key. How easy is that, right? Boom. And now the clip is, in fact, 1 minute 54 instead of 1 minute 56 and a half. Let me undo that to show you the menu command methodology. I'll go Control Z in Windows, Command Z on Mac to undo that. And go to Edit, Delete. You can see that the delete key is the keyboard shortcut. I'll click on this, and it too will delete that segment. Okay, that's kind of just the brute force, meaning you just don't make it too precise. You just kind of estimate where you want to do it. But now we're going to make it more precise when I get rid of this pause between those two phrases. So to see that more precisely, I'm going to zoom in by right-clicking on the time ruler here and dragging a little selection. Will be the area that we're going to zoom into. Here's the end of a phrase, the beginning of the next one. Let's listen for a logical place to begin the next phrase by just kind of listening to the rhythm of the speech. Position that all men are created equal. And now we are engaged. That's probably a good place to start this next phrase. Now we are engaged. So I'm going to put a marker here. That should be the next place we start the phrase. This phrase should slide over to there. We're going to delete this area from here to there to have that slide over. So I'm going to put a marker there by pressing the M key to place a marker there. You can see it show up there. Now I want to put a marker right in front of this clip. I'm going to drag my current time indicator over and just kind of nudge it up against it. You can watch the view meter. You can see where I start talking by watching the view meter right there, even though you don't hear it necessarily. So right there is where I'm going to put the marker to get rid of the stuff in between here. So I'll press M to put a marker there. And now I'm going to make a selection here. And I know that it's going to snap to the markers because I've got the snapping feature turned on here. And now you see that the selection duration is about 2.5 seconds. And we're going to delete that, and hopefully this pause will sound right. So I'll press the delete key to get rid of that. And now we'll test this and see how this sounds. All men are created equal. Now we are engaged. I think that pause could be just a hair longer. So I'm going to undo it. I'm going to go Control Z in Windows, Command Z in Mac to undo it. There's the thing we just deleted. I want the pause to be just a little longer. So that means I'm going to shorten this end of it here by just dragging this in just a little bit. Just have it be just a little longer of a pause, a little shorter delete. Now I've done that, the duration is a little bit less. So I'm going to press delete now, and hopefully that'll be a more comfortable pause between the two phrases. All men are created equal. Now we are engaged. Yeah, I think that's a little better. At any rate, if you disagree or agree, it's not really that important. I just want you to show you that you can undo it and can change the duration if you want to do that. So now the thing I want to do is I want to select this distance and use that same distance between other pauses so that it's kind of consistent from one pause to the next. So I'm going to drag here. Look at that distance. I see the duration is 1:44. That's the pause between one phrase to the next. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll use that same duration elsewhere, about 1:44. I can use the exact duration if I want to. And by dragging this thing around, or I can just estimate it. But let me show you the exact methodology rather than typing it in later or doing some kind of estimation later. It's just kind of a nifty little trick. So I'm going to zoom back out again. The next pause is right here. So I want to drag this selection to here, and that'll end up being the pause there. So let me zoom in a little bit so I can wait to see a handle show up here. There's the handle right there. I'll drag this to the next phrase, and that's going to be the length of the pause. Let me zoom in here so you get a better look at it. That's how long I want the pause to be. I'm going to mark it, because if I click away from it, if I click off this, it won't delete the selection. It'll just switch off the selection. It won't be selected anymore. So I'm going to press M to mark the beginning and the end of the selection, although we're only interested in the end. Now I'm going to see if that really is the right place to do it.
and proper that we should do this.
Right. So we'll have the pause go from here to here. So from this right side to here will be the part that I want to get rid of. So I'm going to click over here to get my end point right there, just where I can see my view meter start popping in. Press the M key to make a marker. Now I want to select this area from the right side of the pause to there, and that's what I'm going to delete. It's going to snap to those two markers. Now I'm going to press delete. Now again, we have a pause here that goes for about a second and a half or a second 1.4, and that's a good duration between the end of this and the beginning of that, and it's consistent with the previous one. So I think you see the methodology on how to do that. You can do that at each pause if you want to, or you can just go to the next pause. Let me just zoom over there. I'll zoom out for a bit. Here's the next pause. I'll zoom in on that one. And you can just say, okay, how much of a pause do I want here? I'll just go
Add or detract.
You can see, if you look really close there, right there, there's a little bump where I say detract. So the T shows up there. So you want to make sure you start your pause after that little T instead of right up against the end of what looks like the waveform ending there, but there's actually a little T right there. And then you can just make a selection that's about 1.44 seconds long. So you just click here and go 1.44 and watch the duration down there in the bottom. So you get to about 1.44 or so. That's good enough. It's close enough. You can make it a little bit shorter by snapping it to that timeline. And that could be your pause. You could do that methodology rather than dragging it across. Press the M key to make the marker. And now you want to put another marker over here, right before the beginning of that phrase. Press the M key for the marker, and now you delete this segment there. And you've made the marker, not using the little dragging method that I showed you before, but just by dragging this area here and watching the duration as you make your selection. All right, let's go to the end of this clip by pressing the N key. A long pause here at the end.
Shall not perish from the earth.
That's way too long to have at the end of this little segment. So I'm going to listen to the rhythm of the speech and then stop it where I think would be a good point to end this file. There we go.
For the people shall not perish from the earth.
End. That just seems like a good place to do it. Now I can just click here and drag, but sometimes when you click after you've put the current time indicator to location, you move the current time indicator. So again, pressing the M key is a good methodology. It puts a marker there. So no matter where the current time indicator is now, I'll be able to snap to that marker and then drag this off. And now I press delete. And I've removed that pause at the end. Now I'm going to press the backslash key, and you can see the places where we trim things at the beginning, here, here, and here. There's only one more pause that we could have fixed, but that would have been redundant. If you want to fix that, go ahead. So that's how you delete portions of a clip. Now I want to talk about cropping. So I'm going to go over to the Gettysburg 6 file by double-clicking on it. Here it is. And this is just a segment. This is the last phrase of the Gettysburg Address. I've got this long pause at the beginning. I'll drag it out, and you can see that it's 3¼ seconds. I've got a long pause at the end, also about 3 seconds. So I want to get rid of those guys. Well, I could do them one at a time, or I could crop. Just like with a photograph, you crop away stuff you don't want. You can do that with audio as well. So I'm going to go from here to there, select that area. I'm going to crop away the stuff that I don't want. So in this case, the selection is about 16 seconds long. And when I do the crop, the resulting file will be as long as the selection. It'll be exactly 16.485. You can use a keyboard shortcut of Control-T on Windows, Command-T on Mac, or go to the menu command, Edit, Crop. There's the keyboard shortcut. Click it. And now we've cropped away the beginning and the end, and we end up with a clip that is 16.485. So that, folks, is how you delete portions of a clip and crop clips here in Audition.